great Acharya in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is a prayer to one's beloved Lord, one's Ishta Devata. Hari Hari Vipale Janana Goai Hari Hari Vipale Manusha Janama Bhaya Radha Krishna Navadiya Manusha Janama Bhaya Radha Krishna Navadiya Janiya Shuniya Bisha Ainu So, this is a beautiful song. Narottam Das Thakur is praying, O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly. Having obtained a human birth and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna, I have knowingly drunk poison. Janiya Shunya Bisha Kainu. So everyone in human form is wasting their lives pursuing sense gratification. We've got this human form of life after a long time going through 8 million lower species of life. And now that we've come to the human form, there is greater responsibility because we've got developed consciousness. It is in the human form of life we can inquire, who am I? Who is God? What is my relationship with Him? In the animal species of life, they cannot make such inquiries. They have questions, they make inquiries also, but their questions are all about eating, sleeping, mating and defending. So if that's all we are occupied with, and we can't find time for Krishna consciousness, then Narottam says we are drinking poison knowingly. So that means we are suicidal. Suicidal. If you cut your own throat, who can save you? So we are knowingly drinking the poison of worldliness, sense gratification. Then he says, the treasure, the real wealth of the spiritual world the treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So this is not ordinary. It is imported from the spiritual world. It is a special creation, special dispensation of the Lord. Who has brought this here? The son of Maharaj Nanda and Balaram, Rohini Nandan, together they have come and they've given it out freely. They're given the best thing, the treasure, the real wealth of Goloka, and they're giving it out to anyone. Especially Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It said Lord Chaitanya was giving it to anyone who wanted it. And Lord Nityananda would give it to even those who didn't want it. Right? Jagai Madai didn't want it. So, following in their footsteps, Srila Prabhupada has also come to give out this wealth. And he is delivering thousands of Jagais and Madais. But Narottam Das Thakur is lamenting. Why was I attracted? Why didn't my attraction for that chanting not come about? Day and night my heart is burning in the fire of sense gratification. Yes, sense gratification burns our heart. And he said, because of that, I'm engaging that day and night. I have no attraction for this chanting. The only thing that can put out this fire, that can give us relief, I avoid it. Then he prays to said Lord Krishna, standing next to Srimati Radharani, the son of Vrishabhanu. Lord Narottam is begging, he says, please don't push me away, I have no other shelter but you. You can just keep me anywhere, in the corner of your lotus feet. So that is our hope. This temple, Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, is here for us to take shelter. They've come by the request of Srila Prabhupada. So he is very dear to them and they are very dear to him. And Srila Prabhupada, when he installed them and was leaving, I heard he offered a prayer to them to look after these lectures. Because that's what we are, that's what we were. We don't remain lecture. When we take to Krishna consciousness, we become raised to transcendental position. So, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like we've been doing this evening, this is the best thing. So the Prophet said, Kirtan Rasa is the safest position in the material world. Right? if while we're chanting Hare Krishna, dancing and we drop dead, what is our destination? So it is the safest position. So take advantage of the kirtan. Always join. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his songs, he says, when I hear, people sing that song later, so when I hear the sound of the mridanga and the kirtan that's being given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so my heart dances in ecstasy. So it's very special. Thinking back, I was telling some devotees that they asked me, how did you join? And I said, it all started when I encountered the kirtan party in the streets of New York City. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't relate it to anything else. But I was attracted to the sound. You'd never heard it before, Hare Krishna, anything. And the way they were dressed, it was all strange and different. But the sound dragged me in. And I followed that sound to the temple. And after some time, as I became more and more acquainted with it, I was coming every Sunday, and we would have the time of our lives. Kirtans would go on, Bhajaraj Prabhu would sit and chant the harmonium. There was another devotee. He hadn't joined yet, but every Sunday he would bring his flute. His name was Radha Prabhu. And he would play the flute out with it. And it was just ecstasy. And then one Sunday when I came to the feast, the Lord told me that, oh, you're very fortunate today. Srila Prabhupada's coming. He's at the airport. So I said, wow, what a coincidence. And the devotee said, oh no, it is not a coincidence. So I thought, well, I want to see and hear everything that he has to say. And so I planted myself by the Vyasa, right there. So I'd catch every word that came out of his mouth. And I knew right after that I have to follow him, I have to join him. So then it took a few months to become disentangled. We all know what entanglements are there in between the world. So, and it's been wonderful. It's so many years have passed and we're doing the same thing. Chanting, dancing and feasting. So, let's sing another song. One by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Kabe habe bolo se dinam. Stay with me. Kabe habe bolo se dinayama. Kabe habe now, Kabe habe bolo sedinayamar, Kabe habe bolo Aparada Gucci, Sudana Meruchi, Kripa Bole Habe, Hridoye Sanja. This is a nice song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he's hankering for the day when all his offenses will cease and he can really relish the holy name. There are many statements in the scriptures about the glories of the holy name. But specifically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Nam Namakari Bhagavani Jasarva Shaktis Tatrapitam Tag Smaranena Kala. That, my Lord, you put all your energies into these names. You made it approach to you so easily. There are no hard and fast rules. One can chant anytime, day, night, anywhere. Chant walking, sitting, chanting and dancing. So there are no rules. Like those who are twice initiated, the Brahmanas, they're given the Gayatri mantra, and there is rules for that. Sri Sandhya, morning, noon, or evening, and chanted silently. With Maha Mantra, there's no rules. So he's made it so easily available. And of course Lord Chaitanya laments that it's so easy and I have no attraction for it. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is lamenting also. He says, when oh when will that day be mine? When will you give me your blessings and erase all of my offenses and give my heart a taste for chanting the holy name in purity? As long as the offenses are there, we cannot really taste the sweet nectar. Just like sugar candy, Prabhupada told us that if a person has jaundice, a jaundice patient, the cure for it is sugar candy. He said, but to the patient, the jaundice person, it tastes bitter. But if he takes it under the direction of a physician, gradually he'll be able to taste the sweetness. So, in the beginning we don't like chanting, it's like medicine, bitter medicine. But if we keep chanting, the day will come when it'll be like food. And we all know how we look forward to food, eating. Then it'll be like dessert. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when will I taste the essence of the holy name? Feeling myself to be lower than the grass, my heart filled with tolerance. This is the mandate of Lord Chaitanya, Trinada Visuddhicana. Lower than, thinking myself lower than the grass, my heart filled with tolerance. When will I give respect to all others, everyone, and be free from the desire for respect for myself? It says, when will I cry out that I have no longer any desire for wealth and followers, poetry, beautiful women, all of which are meant just for bodily pleasure. Oh, go Radha, give me causes to wish my service, to your lotus feet, birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya also prays like that. Najanam najanam najanam, yes. And he says, I don't want this, I don't want this. What do you want? He wants Mama Janmani Janmani. So he doesn't even want mukti. And he says, when will my body be covered with goosebumps and my voice broken with emotion as I pronounce Krishna's name? When will my body change color and my eyes fill with endless tears as I chant? On the surface, this sounds horrible, right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Bhaya Visha Jala Hoy, Bitare Anandamoy, Krishna Prema Adbhuta Charita. Says the wonderful characteristics of love of God, Krishna Prema, is that on the outside it looks horrible, it's like poison, but in the inside it is nectar. And material life is just the opposite. It looks good. America's contribution to the world is good packaging. They can package garbage, make it look so nice. But there's nothing there. So it is when you first hear about Lord Chaitanya, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when it came out and we began to, the descriptions given there, where he's, I've never heard of anything like that, and it's very, a non-devotee will they hear of it, will say, that's what you want? That's what you want? He's crying, falling down, and his teeth chattering. This is a wonderful characteristic. Right? Even devotee, the life of a devotee. When we joined the movement, Krishna conscious movement, remember in the old days, there wasn't the opulence that's available now. Now we have beds. We have beds to sleep on. In the early days, there weren't beds. You slept on the floor. Everything was, they had nothing, practically nothing. And we, well, some of us, myself, I came from I was living with my mother in a nice warm apartment with a bed. And I moved into the ashram, had no heat during the winter in New York City. And we slept on the floor. And we used to eat off of wax paper. It was very, but we wouldn't give it up for anything. And there were, as I said, devotees have come from all backgrounds. Some of them came from wealthy families. Some of them were just hippies. But whatever, we came and to outsiders, others, it seems you've given up this for that. But what we were getting from Prabhupada was priceless. Right? It was priceless. As the first temple was called Matchless Gifts, Prabhupada was giving us matchless gifts. And the little austerities that we had to undergo was nothing in comparison. So, then Gopinath Thakur says, when will I give up all thoughts of the world and society to run like a madman? See, another thing, a madman, along the banks of the Ganges in Navadvip, singing and dancing and sincerely calling out the names of Gaur and Nityananda. 6. And he says, and when will Nityananda Prabhu be merciful to me and deliver me from the enchantment of the sense objects? When will he give me the shade of his lotus feet and the right to enter the marketplace of the holy day? So, many nice things are said here. In another song by Narottam Das Thakur, Goranga Baniti Habe, he says, Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shudra Bhima, Kabe Namya Srivrinda. The symptom of one who has got the mercy of Lord Nityananda is that his material desires become insignificant and discarded. And then he says, when will he give me the right to enter the marketplace of the holy day? So, it is a privilege. It is a privilege to to serve Krishna. Every morning when we recite the Tulasi prayers, one line says, please give me the privilege of devotional service. And make me mates of them. So, we have no rights actually. We are nothing, we are meager, poor. So we have to beg for it. Lord Nityananda Prabhu says he's the proprietor of the marketplace of the holy name. And he is more than willing to give all resources to someone. If all we have to do is be sincere, chant, and he will do the rest. Then he says, when will I beg, buy, borrow, or steal the ecstasies of the holy name? When will I lose myself in the intoxication of the holy name? When will I immerse myself in the nectar of the holy name? After grasping the feet of a saint who constantly relishes the flavors of devotion. Rasera Rasika Charana. So, to get this treasure, we have to go to someone who has it. Prabhupada wrote a letter to Chutananda. He says, for spiritual life, we have to go to someone who is practicing spiritual life. Not just anybody. One who is actually doing it, who is practicing spiritual life, and is tasting it, tasting the rasa, then he can give it to us. So, therefore, the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas essential. And then finally he says, when will I feel compassion for all living beings? When will I forget my own pleasure and in genuine humility? When will I meekly go from door to door preaching your message? So, this is the Sankirtan movement, and we've all come by the efforts of devotees, right? We have come because of some devotees. They're giving us a book, St. Prashadam, taking the time to talk with us. And so, if we feel that we've benefited from this relationship, then the natural response should be, we want to give it to others, God and Sankirtan. So Prabhupada was always requesting the devotees to go out. In the beginning, all we did was go out and chant. Before there was books, lots of books. When I joined, there was a few books, not many. And even then, no one was distributing them. We didn't think they could be distributed. We would distribute Back to Godhead magazines on the street, and incense. And we'd collect a little something to bring back to the temple. But we would go out, they would send us out from 9 in the morning until 6 in the evening. All done just to chant on the streets. In the beginning it seems like a lot. But all the devotees who go out, we would get absorbed. You wouldn't think of the time. And that was Monday through Thursday, from 9 to 6. And then Friday and Saturday, all the other devotees back in the temple and the press, they would come and join us. And then there would be a big party in Times Square in New York City. And we would stay out till 9, 10, 11, sometimes 12. We felt it was sinful to leave because there were so many people there. And they were really loving it, you know. It was, you know. So, and then we'd have to run back to the temple and get a few winks and get up for Mangalarti, more chanting. But that's how this movement spread, really. The devotees were always seen on the streets chanting. It's seen that there must be lots of them, but it really wasn't a lot. It was just that they were just always out there, everywhere. And you couldn't go anywhere. We were so, our presence was felt so much so that even when I moved from New York to LA, Los Angeles is where they made movies. It's La La Land. So the boys would be approached. They wanted us to do a little, what do you call it, cameo? It's a little part in the movie. They would pay us. Sometimes just to walk across. and you'd have to do that scene over and over. And you have to walk just right. And television, sitcoms, I mean, the boys were just, so, you know, we were out in the streets, and then the movie industry was, you know, showcasing us. Many, I don't know how many movies. Just little parts, you know. And so people were seeing it everywhere, and they thought, geez, there must be millions of them. It was really just a few. Yeah. As Prabhupada even said, you know, we should feel proud. Generally we are told not to be proud and be humble and so. And he said, one should feel proud to be a devotee, to be a member of this prestigious. You know, we are coming in touch with really important people, big people. The disciple succession, these are all great personalities. So, let's sing another one. Oh, Bhaja Hure Mana. This one is by Govinda Das Kamra. Bhaja Hure Mana Sri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindani Bhaja Hure Sri Das, Govinda Dasa Abhilasa. Govinda Das is expressing his desire, expressing his mind. Because the mind, the Prabhupada said, the mind is the friend of, could be the friend of the conditioned soul or his enemy as well. So we are living with a friend and also enemy. So Govinda Das is praying, my dear mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda. Nanda Maharaj. There's none Nanda Nandan, Sri Nanda Nandan. On one recording, Srila Prabhupada says, we are specifically concerned with this Krishna. He said there may be other Krishnas, but this one, the one who's the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, that's the one we want. And why his lotus feet take shelter, you become fearless. Abhaya Charanarvinda, which is the name of Prabhupada. He was fearless. To come to the West, had to be fearless. He was an old man, didn't really know anybody here. And he had only heard horror stories. One time in Los Angeles, it was his last visit. There was a presentation, it was an evening of transcendental entertainment arranged by the authorities in New Dwarka. And Yadavar and Vishaka, transcendental filmmakers, they had made a movie about New Vrindavan, I think called The Spiritual Frontier. And it was going to be premiered. Srila Prabhupada was there. And Kirtananda Maharaj flew in for the premiere because it was his project. And there was also a play. A play was put on by the Vaikuntha players. They used to be in New York. And then when the press moved from New York to LA, those devotees, the Vaikuntha players, also came out. So they had prepared a very wonderful play. It was the Pandavas retired timely in that section of the Bhagavatam. And that was done. And there was also another presentation. Music. Another devotee, Jai Sachinandan Prabhu, he had taken one of the poems that Srila Prabhupada wrote on the boat, the Jaladuta, called Markine Bhagavad Dham, and he had put it to music. And they passed out sheets to everyone. We had never sung it before. Actually, we didn't know about it. And few people knew that Prabhupada had written these poems. But we sang it for him in the temple room. Prabhupada was very pleased with that offering. And after the movie, I believe, was the last of the entertainment for the evening. So we had the play, then the song, and then the movie with popcorn. And afterwards, Prabhupada, they handed him the microphone for him to say something. Prabhupada took it and handed it to Kirtananda Maharaj. He said, "No, this is your project, so you should speak." So Kirtananda said Maharaj said a few words. And then Prabhupada took the mic and he said, he referred to the song, that in the song maybe there's a line, I think, where he's praying to Krishna. I don't know why you brought me here. I guess you have some business to do yet. So Prabhupada, he referred to that line and then he said, it's not that I didn't know how difficult this job was going to be. He said, because I was coming to teach cow protection to the cow killers. And he says, I thought as soon as they heard what I was saying, they would say, Swamiji, please go home. But he Prabhupada persisted. But he was fearless. Just before coming to Australia, I went to New Vrindavan for a Festival of Inspiration. And there was a special guest, Mrs. Sally Argowal. She read Lilamrita. She was the wife of Mr. Gopal Argowal, who, when Prabhupada came to America, he stayed at that place in Butler, Pennsylvania. So she came to New Vrindavan, to the palace. So they arranged an evening of transcendental katha here. First her, and then other devotees, proper disciples would speak about Srila Prabhupada. And she said things that we had never heard before. Because you know, you can, our memories like that, you don't remember everything. Afterwards it'll come, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that, you know. So she described that when Prabhupada, she said her husband's father, who was in India, had written them asking them to sponsor this Indian holy man. And she said her husband, he couldn't do it because he wasn't a citizen yet. So she said, so I had to sponsor him. And of course, when the devotees heard that, there was joy, you know. We are indebted to her for sponsoring, you know. And she said, anyway, he came, and the first day he slept on the couch in their living room because she said we had a small house, just 2 bedrooms, and they had 2 children. They had a toddler and a boy named Braj and a girl. So the kids were in one room and the couple were in the other room, so probably slept on the couch. And then she said the next day she took him to the YMCA, which wasn't far, and so he would really, that's where he was staying. But he would come over in the day and cook lunch. She described in detail how he had a 5-tier cooker. She called it a cooker, it's a tiffin. But he would cook a whole meal, you know. In the bottom he would have the dal, and then the rice, and then sabji, and then another sabji, and then something else. And she said that the first day when he did that, he cooked enough to feed the both of them. And Mrs. Argowal said she had never tasted anything so wonderful. And so she said she wasn't shy to ask him, Swamiji, when you cook every day, would you mind cooking extra? And Prabhupada was very happy to do it. He said, sure, no problem. And he said he would cook and feed her every day. And but after a little while, she didn't say how long he stayed there, but he came and told her he wants to go to New York City. And she was like, New York City? She said, you don't know. She said, New York City is dangerous. You know? And people in India also talk like that. They thought, you're going there to die. But Prabhupada was not, you know, it didn't stop him. He said, no, I have to go. And she says, I begged him not to go. But he persisted. And the day he was leaving, she said he was standing outside the door saying goodbye. And she said she started to cry. And then Prabhupada started to cry also. he had developed such affection for them, which is, and he left. She said before he left, she gave him a bag of coins, money, quarters, dimes, nickels. She said, you're going to need this in the city. You might need to get a cup of coffee. She said, but Prabhupada, he accepted the coins and he left. And he wasn't going, he didn't know anybody there that he was going to go to. But he was fearless, and she said he left behind his big trunk of books. And she said, aren't you going to take it? He says, I will let you know. And then when he went to New York City, he would go preaching, trying to sell. And as he sold, he would sell sets. He had the 3 volumes of the first canto. He would sell it to people. I guess he took a set with him to show. And when they agreed, he would write Sally and tell her, and give them the personal address, and say, ship it to them. So Prabhupada was engaging her in Sankirtan. She was like a mail order, the first mail order, shipping out his books. And she says he was quite happy to do that. And she said whenever he wrote her, he would write her, my dear daughter, Sally. So the devotee said, so after she spoke, Malati was there, and she said, Sally, you were Prabhupada's first disciple. Even though you were never initiated, she was engaged in his service from, She frequently comes to New Vrindavan, but this was a special treat for us, because we didn't know if she was alive or what, And she said, one more thing, she said, when he was there, he used to play with his son, the little boy. There's a picture of that, I think, also. The whole Prabhupada's holding him by the hand and he's learning how to walk. And she said, he used to chew on Prabhupada's shoes. Prabhupada had these little, and he would chew on it. And she said, now that boy, that son is grown up, he's a man. But whenever he goes to the temple, they know him, they say, oh, he's the one who chewed on Prabhupada's shoe. So she said, he's the only person, he's a man who's famous for chewing on Prabhupada's shoe as a baby. So anyway, taking shelter of Nandanandan makes one fearless. And then he says, Dulabhamana Vajanama Satsanga. Having obtained this rare human birth, you should try to cross over the ocean of worldly existence by satsanga, association of devotees. On our own, we cannot get out of here. It's dangerous. It's danger at every step. Padam jati padam natesham. Prahlad Maharaj says it's a dangerous place. And he says, both in day and night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of heat and cold, wind and rain. What for? For a fraction of flickering happiness, chapala sukha. And I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. Yes, we work hard, giving all our energy to people who don't care about us. Right? People are described as miserly, wicked men. They just want what, they have their own interests, what they want, and you're just there to fulfill their desires. And you work hard. Sometimes people have 2 jobs in big cities like New York. because it never sleeps at night, and some people just trying to make ends meet to get ahead. They'll take two jobs, working hard. And then he says, what assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youth, family members, children, etc. It is not transcendental happiness, so it's not real happiness. It's temporary happiness. And there's no real assurance also. And he says, this life, the life as we know it, this life is tottering like a drop of water on the lotus leaf, this petal. So, we are on the tottering platform. Any minute we can fall, any minute we can. We were reading death, any minute we can be pulled out. Time's up. We read the other morning that death is all devouring, and as soon as you're born, you start dying. Yeah. Bhagavatam says, Ayur harati vaikunasam. Every rising and setting of the sun, it's taken away your life. It's taken away, it's killing you. So, he said, therefore, understanding these things, you should always serve and worship the divine seed of Lord. And he tells how to do that. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Adasi. So this is his desire. And this should be the desire of every devotee, to engage in the process of bhakti, beginning with hearing and chanting. Okay? We still have time for one more? Yeah. The thing is, it's difficult to sit for a long time.